Hello and welcome to Netflix vs. Cinema, the podcast that goes to the cinema every week, sees a couple of things, stays at home, sees a couple of things, rates everything out of 5, puts them up against each other and sees where our money has been better spent this week. My name is Tosin and I am the host of the show, and joining me, as always, from London, just the one person this time, it is our London correspondent, Holly Nesling.
Hi.
Yes, fresh from your latest push to see 52 films in 52 weeks in the year 2024. So how many did you see in the last week? In the cinema, that is.
We have seen 3 in the last week.
Oh, 3 films in the last week. And so what does that bring you up to? What does that bring your total up to for the year?
We have achieved 45 now. We have 7 to go.
45. 7 films to go in 3 weeks.
Yep.
And I'm guessing, I was going to say, well, it depends on what your plans are for Christmas. The Christmas week might be out of bounds.
Yeah, we're hoping for 2 or 3 on the Sunday after Christmas.
Okay.
We are booked in for No, we're not booked in for next Monday. I think next week might not be a great. Next Sunday we are booked in. And then not next Monday. Or next Tuesday, then the 18th, then the 20th.
And there's usually a glut of films that get released on Boxing Day, so
This is our hope.
You should be good with that. You should be good with that. All right, cool. So, but what did you? Speaking about what we saw, what did you see in the cinema this last week?
This week I have seen Anora.
Oh
Paddington in Peru and Moana 2.
Ooh, all right, cool. So Paddington in Peru we've already reviewed. So going by our very, very lax rules, so that would mean the main things would be Anora and Moana 2, which I have also seen. I saw Moana 2 because I have a child who's been watching Moana on repeat for the last couple of years and is now of the age where they're like, yeah, I think this is actually the first film that has been released in the cinema that she's actually, been interested in. And so we went to see it. Even though she spent half the film going, Daddy, I want to go home. Daddy, I want to go home. Because Moana 2 has some horror elements in it. and yes, but if in the end, she stayed. And okay, cool. Yeah, so that's it. And how about at home? What have you seen?
I've not seen completely anything. I've seen bits of all sorts of things, but not anything in its entirety yet.
Oh, okay. In that case, I shall bring to the party a couple of things. One of the things I already put on the WhatsApp group, which I cannot remember right now, and
yes,
it is. Oh, are you there, God? It's Me, Margaret.
Yes, that's the one.
And another thing that I will bring it, I'll keep in suspense and I'll bring it up when the time is right. I'll be like, this is what I've seen. All right, cool. So let us kick off in cinema, as is our wont. And let's kick off with the only thing that we can really kick off with, which is Moana 2. It's going to be the big one. It is already the big one. It's had a big opening and people are thinking that it might be, I think it had, Inside Out 2 ended up being the most profitable animated movie of all time, the highest grossing animated movie of all time. And Moana 2 beat Inside Out 2 for its opening weekend at the box office. So people are thinking, Disney might actually have 2. Disney might break the record for the highest grossing animated movie of all time twice in the same year. So it's the big film at the moment. We'll see whether it gets to $1 billion, but it's a big film at the moment. So let's kick off with that and let's tell us about Moana 2. What is going on here, Holly?
Moana 2 is a sequel to the film Moana. Who would have guessed from the name?
I know.
Where Moana, having previously, with the able assistance of Maui and her Maui the demigod, her friend the pig and her friend the chicken, having restored the heart to Fiti.
Actually, sorry to correct you this early, but as I told you, we have been watching Moana on repeat in my house for the last 3 years. The pig doesn't actually go along in the first film; it's only the chicken.
He doesn't. You're right. Yes. Yes, the pig waits at home. I've seen it so many times. I should remember that. But they restored the heart of Te Fiti, and all was well in the world. But now it turns out, some years later, Moana is a bit older. She has a lovely little sister, and
Samaya, the cutest thing in the film.
she undoubtedly is. And now it has been established that there's a quest. She's on a quest to find other people, and it becomes apparent that finding other people is crucial to the survival of her tribe. So she goes off on a quest with some new buddies and the pig and the chicken.
Yeah, the pig gets to come along this time. Yeah.
The pig does get to come along this time to find the mysterious island that connects people together.
Yeah, it's one of those weird things that you never notice. You know how it is when you watch usually a Disney film, and there's something that you never really notice, and then until somebody points it out, and you go, "Hang on a second, oh yeah, hang on, I guess they are the only people they've met." The people on that island. They've only ever known each other. They are kind of isolated. They've never seen anybody else, and you think, "Oh yeah, that." Because it's one of those things where when they first announced Moana 2, I was like, oh, here we go again, Disney with your cash grabbing ways. Can't you let anything rest? Is nothing sacred anymore? But then when you start realizing that they're the only people that they've met, you're thinking, actually, that's a pretty solid premise for a TV. Well, I was about to say a TV series because originally this was going to be a TV series.
Oh.
Originally, it was going to be a TV series, and because Disney have done this, they did it with Tangled, they did it with Aladdin, where they had a TV series where they took the film and they turned it into a sort of like a Quest of the Week TV series. And I could just, as I was watching this, I could see all the elements that exist of the Quest of the Week TV series. You introduce extra characters that were not in the first film, who now come on here so that the main character now has a crew to go along with. And they have the built-in thing of, we have to go find all these different islands. So they could essentially find a new island a week. And they could see all these elements, but apparently it was going so well, they were like, you know what? Let's make this a film.
Better outcome. Good conclusion.
Well, I think it's because, especially for me, because in this they do, obviously it's Polynesian, so it's Polynesian, and I think that but whenever Disney do anything that is based on another culture, it is that culture with an American bent. So if they do something that is like, that if they do something that is Polynesian, it's Polynesian with an American bent. They do something that's African, it's African with an American bent. It's kind of like so for this they spread it out so that all of the people. So usually when they say Polynesia and they're doing it with an American bent, what you're really saying is Hawaii. You're saying that all these people are Hawaiian. But this one, they seem to have thrown their net out a bit more to introduce other people from other Polynesian islands and all that. And I think I personally would have felt sad if that had just been relegated to TV. So I'm actually quite happy that they ended up making this into a film. And yeah, but having said that, what did you think of Moana 2? Did you think it was a worthy successor, continuation, whatever you want to call it, of the beloved Moana Make Way?
I do. I think it was a good follow-up. I very much enjoyed it. I liked the songs. I liked the characters. It was, having lived for a little while in Polynesia.
Oh yeah.
I enjoyed details like them having a carver ceremony. There are little bits that have and some of the names and things that always make me smile. So I very much enjoyed it. I thought it was a lovely watch, and I like some animation, not all. This was lovely, and I absolutely love Moana. I've watched it so many times. Not quite as many as you, I suspect, but an awful lot.
Like, stop. Not you, Holly. No, you, Holly, the kid. That's going to become like a regular thing in the podcast going forward is, who is Tosin talking to? Is he talking to his kids or to his fellow co-hosts? It's like, just stop it right now, stop it. Sorry, not you.
Could be anybody. It's all right, okay, you don't need to stop anything.
Oh no, what that wasn't her. That was her sister.
I know.
And yeah. But when you talk about that, I agree with a lot of that. Like especially with the representation, where I read a review where they said that Disney is not making the mistakes of the past, which is to make everything seen through an American lens. Like there's one particular bit that I quite liked, where it might be the ceremony you're talking about. Obviously, I'm not that au fait with Polynesian culture, but the fact that they had to me, it was like an important bit of something that was going on, and it was not done in English. It was done in a Polynesian language. I do not know which one.
I do not either.
I don't know which one, but it was done, and I was like, yes, I like that. It was kind of almost like the sort of boat blessing ceremony kind of thing that they did, and I quite like that. I mean the songs. Yeah,
the bowl being part of this carver.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And the thing is, and the songs. Obviously, a big thing about it was that Lin-Manuel Miranda, who wrote the music for the first film, did not come back for the second film.
Yes, which I thought interesting.
Yeah, and I think at the song, I think you can hear it. The songs are different. And I don't know, because I remember watching the first Moana film, and I didn't particularly walk out of the cinema humming any of the songs or singing any of the songs or anything like that. It was the next couple of weeks that all of a sudden these songs just started taking a life of their own, and everybody started singing them everywhere. So we'll see what happens with those or anything. The problem I had with this is that as a musical, it did this thing that they've started doing in musicals where a lot of the songs don't really go anywhere. A lot of the songs stop the plot to sing the song, to say, this is how I'm feeling at this point in time, and then they carry on. Like, there's a plot point about a shooting star shows up, and they tell Moana to follow that shooting star. And then there's a song that happens there, where she sits there, and she sings this song, sings the whole song, the shooting star is still shooting across the sky, the song ends, and then they start tooling up to go. I'm like, no! The song should have been the tooling up bit, because how long do you have to wait before this shooting star disappears before you can't find it anymore? And it's so there were bits like that, and I feel like almost every song in the film does not move the plot along. It stops the plot to have the song and then carry. But that's a very sort of like musical head complaint that most people probably would not even notice.
No, I think that's fair.
Yeah, so all in all, I quite enjoyed it. I thought it's like it didn't end up being as well. When I heard they were going to do a Moana 2 thing and my cash grab klaxon went off, I was like, this could be terrible. And this is not terrible. As far as sequels go recently, we spoke about Gladiator 2 last week. I am so much happier with this than I am with Gladiator 2. Gladiator 2 annoyed the heck out of me. But this one I thought was quite good. I would give it a 4 out of 5.
I would also give it a 4 out of 5.
Yeah, and apart from all the bits where my daughter was crying and saying I want to go home because there were too many bats and too many sea monsters and stuff like that. Apart from all those bits, I think she would agree with that. It would be a 5 if it wasn't for all the scary bits. So now we go over to Netflix and Friends, and this is on Prime Video, and I'm going to talk about Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret. Now, this is one of those things where Prime have this very Aquia, everybody can hear you. Prime have this very sort of like helpful thing that they do now, where when you log on to Prime, they tell you what is about to leave Prime, and they tell you this thing is going to leave very soon. And Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret showed up and saying it was going to leave Prime very soon. And I was like, this is something I wanted to watch for ages, but I've just been lazy. So I got off my butt and decided to watch it. Have you ever read the book, Holly?
I haven't. I know of the book. It's a classic Judy Blume.
Yeah, classic Judy Blume. I've never read the book, but that's a title I know. I know the title, Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret. So this film is based around I think she's about 13 when the film, 12, 13 when the film starts. A girl called Margaret. You meet her. She lives in Manhattan with her mum and dad, very close to her grandmother. And her dad is Jewish, her mum is Christian or was raised Christian. And she comes back from camp. And as she comes back from camp, her mum is like, "Hey, how's everything going?" And she's like, "Oh, what's this?" It's like, "It's a car. Well, we bought a car." It's like, why do we buy a car? We live in Manhattan. We don't need a car. And she's like, "No, don't worry." Then she gets back home and she's like, "Why is everything in boxes?" And then it turns out that her father has got a new job in New Jersey, and they're going to be moving. So they move over to New Jersey, and then what happens is a very kind of, I want to use the word gentle, but I know that when you use the word gentle, that can come across as very sort of damning with faint praise. but it's like a gentle coming of age of this girl, of this summer in this girl's life, where she moves to New Jersey. She meets some of the neighbor kids in New Jersey because obviously they have more space and they all have houses and they all have gardens. And this girl is like, yes, I know. This is like 10 years away for you. No, actually, no, more like 13. 10 years for your sister. But these girls, they're all kind of like, talking about the usual things about boys, who's the boy in the class that they all like, who is the person, what's going to happen. They do the whole, we must increase our bust because they get a copy of like one of their dad's Playboys, and they look at it and they go, is that what they're supposed to look like? and they have this whole thing where they're all like, oh no, we need to get a period. We need to get it because we are not grown up until we get a period. And it becomes this push that where it's all the whole, essentially a big plot point. This film, in a way, could almost be called Waiting for a Period. because that's what these girls they're all obsessed about, and it's just about what life as a teenage girl is like at that time. At that time, it's in the 70s, all that kind of stuff, and you have great performances from Kathy Bates as the grandmother, Rachel McAdams as the mum, and there's a question about why, because it's called Are You There, God? Is Me Margaret, because her parents have decided, because her dad is Jewish and her mum was raised Christian, they say, look, we're agnostic essentially in this house, and then when you're old enough, you can choose what you want to be. And so she decides, I think it's about time that I become something. I decide what I am. And so there's this recurring theme throughout the film where she goes, are you there, God? It's me, Margaret. And she starts talking almost like a diary. This is what's going on. That's what's going on. Oh, God, please help me. Oh, my God, I can't believe that she got... I know I'm going to be saying period a lot. But it's like I can't believe she got her period yet. Oh, what about me? Why can't I want mine now. And all that. And they are... And I think it's one of those things where it's... having never been a teenage girl,
lucky escape.
Yes, having never been a teenage girl, it's something that I wouldn't say I'm identifying because it's my experience or anything like that, but I can imagine a lot of people would identify with it. But it's almost like a window in. It's a window in to a world. So it's quite gentle. It's quite. I don't feel it's particularly revolutionary, but it's just very, very well made. It's very, very well made. They're great performances that sort of like tell you this is what it's like. This is what they have to think about. These are the things that they worry about. These are things they obsess about, and this is what it leads to. So I thought it was a very, very good film, and I would recommend that you track it down. I would recommend that you track it down I'll give it a 4 out of 5. As I say, it's kind of like pretty much a summer in a girl's life. I don't think it's particularly groundbreaking, but I know that for some people, I think your mileage may vary, because I know some first people, they thought it was groundbreaking, but a lot of the people who I said saying that were women, because I'm guessing that it was something that is scratching an itch that they've had for a long time there hasn't been provision for this in cinema, because it's been too much. Usually when you see a coming of age thing, it's about a boy. So yeah, I thought it was really good. 4 stars, great performances, all right, especially from Abby Forston. Can't remember her last name, but she was the kid in the first Ant-Man movie. Yes, and there we go. And so that's it. 4 stars for Are You There, God? It Is Me, Margaret. And now
I'd say the adaptation of a seminal teenage girls book.
Yes.
Judy Blume was iconic. Probably is still iconic in some ways.
That's what I've heard. I mean, I've never read the book or anything like that, and I know that it's one of those things that whenever a film is made of a beloved book like that, it's fraught with problems. But from everybody I've heard who's actually read the book, they seem to be pretty happy with it. They seem to be very, very happy with the film. But hey, anyway. Now let's go back to cinema and let's go talk Anora, the film that only Holly saw because she lives in London and the powers that be have decided that no one else is allowed to see this unless you live in London. So, Well, actually, I did find out that it was on somewhere in Birmingham, but it only seemed to be in the art cinema, like the Midlands Arts Centre, not a normal cinema, not like an Odeon you're going to walk past and just find this film. You have to go searching for this film if you wanted to watch it in Birmingham. But anyway, Anora, what did you think, Holly?
So, Anora is a film about a relatively young woman played by
Mikey Madison.
Mikey Madison, thank you, who works as an exotic dancer slash lap dancer. I'm not sure what the right term is these days. And she, in her work, meets a young Russian man who is the son of a Russian oligarch. He takes rather a shine to her, and in a sort of Pretty Woman-esque scenario, offers her a large sum of money to be his girlfriend for a week, and hang out with him and his friends. And it's and whilst he plays video games and things, and have lots of sex. It is therefore quite a graphic film. From the opening, do not take small children to see it unless they're very open. Don't really know what's going on. It then all becomes somewhat unhinged when his family and his custodians, supervisors, find out that they have got married, as this is not the sort of thing that his very wealthy Russian family would like to see happening, and all hell breaks loose, where things deteriorate to a level of unhinged lunacy, to the extent that I cried with laughter. Absolutely sobbed my mascara off. Waterproof mascara, I should add. So all sorts of craziness happens as she has, believes that, she was, marrying a reliable, great guy who was, it was all good and they were going to stand up to his family if they had issues with it, but it would all be fine. And the reality of how all of these things might unfold is not quite as she expected. It's a very small cast, relatively. There's a lot of people in some ways, but it's quite a small core cast, who are all just superb. Mikey Madison is wonderful, absolutely side-splittingly funny. She has great timing, and it's just absolutely unhinged.
The first place I really noticed her was in the Scream 5, which was just called Scream. That was the first place I really noticed her. Even though apparently I'd seen her in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and I hadn't really noticed it because it's a small role. She is in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Think Flamethrower.
I have to confess that I kept falling asleep on Once Upon a Time.
Okay, all right, cool. So yeah,
remember all of the details.
Yeah, so saw her in that, and that she is a great presence. She is a great presence, and a big part of it is that I spent most of Scream convinced that she was Ezra Miller's sister.
Yeah,
and it was one of those things where you're just going, Rick, is that? I actually had to go afterwards and Google and see if there was any relation between her and Ezra Miller. No, apparently none. But there's, to my mind, there's a resemblance. But I think Mikey Madison is somebody who I would like to see more stuff. So I'm really happy that she's gotten this lead role that's creating a whole bunch of buzz. And everything I've heard about this film is like going, yeah, it's crazy, and she really sort of like brings them gonzo mad energy.
Yes. Yeah, I think that's exactly it. It's proper gonzo mad energy.
All right, cool. Okay, cool. So
it's almost hard to articulate the energy she's able to present.
Well, Vince, it's a Sean Baker film, and Sean Baker does that in his films. There's just this kind of like almost undefinable quality about them. Just kind of like, it's just a bit mad. How mad? How? Just a bit mad. It's like, yeah. So
it's hard to articulate something that's quite a fundamentally not a terribly complicated or in some ways long plot.
Yeah.
And how much pure mad joy you can get from watching.
Because I mean, there's an element of this where it sounds almost a bit like it sounds a bit like, a screwball comedy. Like,
yes.
if you took away some of the graphic stuff and everything like that, this could be something made in the 1950s starring Cary Grant and Rosalind Russell or something like that. It's
as a base premise, yes, but it's a bit more rather more violent than a 19.
Yeah. If you took the graphic stuff away, if you go, but the basic story seems to be that, and then, but it's about how you go about it. So this is a film that I am really looking forward to seeing when I'm finally allowed to see it on a streaming platform near me, because hey, anyway. Okay, so how many stars would you give Anora?
I'm going to give it a high 4. It's on the edge of a 5, and I can completely understand why it won Palme d'Or.
Yeah, a high 4 for Anora. All right, okay, and now we come to final thing that we're going to be talking about this week, which I was going to keep you on tenterhooks from. And this is once again from the Leaving Soon list on Amazon Prime. If you want people to watch your streaming platform, that's actually quite an effective way of doing it. Last chance. But what tends to happen is that it says last chance, but then it shows up on another streaming platform within a week. But the question is just don't know which one. So this is a film I saw called Silent Night, not to be confused with about 6 other films called Silent Night. Because there was one.
Which Silent Night is it?
Yeah, which Silent Night is it? This is the 2021 Silent Night, and it's because I know there was one 2023 last year that was Joel Kinnaman as a man who is getting revenge for the death of his family, but he can't speak, and it was a John Woo action movie, and that was released last Christmas. That was called Silent Night for obvious reasons. Now this film is starring, the main person in it is Keira Knightley. So you have Keira Knightley in this film. You have Keira Knightley, and she is married to a character. Hey, Kemi, put your headphones back in. Okay, cool. Thank you. Sorry. Welcome to parenting. Oh, for goodness sake! Hang on a second. Okay, I'm back. Don't pull that out. All right. Oh, welcome to parenting. Welcome to parenting, the podcast. It's like podcasting while parenting. Where was I? Yes, she is married to a character played by Matthew Good. They have 3 kids. One of them is played by Roman Griffith Davis, who was the kid in Jojo Rabbit, they have him and the younger ones are 2 twins, who are played by his brothers, played by his twin brothers. And this is a film that basically was 2021. It has a feeling of that sort of COVID thing about it, where they started making films, and then all these films were made in one location. Yeah, start having this glut of films made in one location. So the whole idea is that there's a whole bunch of friends who are descending, and you can see that they're old, either school friends or uni friends, all descending on this big country house for Christmas. So it starts with them making Christmas dinner, and it starts off looking like one of these comedies of manners, where you have these people come in, you have the family, you have the kids who show up with a difficult kid. The family show up with a difficult kid. You have the ones who they're married, but you're wondering, is there actually something going on there? Lucy Punch shows up with Kirby Howell-Baptiste as a lesbian couple who where she is part of the friend group, and he's part of the friend group, and Kerry Howard-Baptiste is like the partner who feels a bit left out of the friend group and all that kind of stuff. So this whole thing is being set up. But then there's all these little hints that are being put into dialogue that show you that not everything might be okay. Like one of them shows up, Shokwe Dirisu shows up, and he says to Keira Knightley, goes, "Oh, look at us. We're all just getting old." And he goes, "Well, we were getting old." And then you're like, "Oh, hang on, what's going on here?" And as it goes on, you realize that what happens is that And there's also a line where somebody says, like, Greta told us, and nobody listened, is like what the kid says. And it turns out that the basic premise of this film is that the Earth has had enough. The Earth has had enough of humans abusing it. And so what's going to happen is that at some point in the next day or so, there's going to be this massive cloud of gas that has been going across the world and is going to wipe out all human life. So there's no escaping it. There's this massive cloud that's going to come. It's going to wipe out all human life. No escaping it. And it's gone across, like, most countries in Africa, and people have just died because of this massive cloud. And what the British government has decided to do is to prevent suffering of its citizens. They've given everybody who they count as worthy. They've given everybody who they count as worthy a tablet, and enough tablets for them and their families. So it's essentially mass assisted suicide. So what is happening in this film is that everybody has come together for one last Christmas where they're all going to get together. They're going to have this lovely thing, and then they and their families are going to take these pills. And that means they themselves, their kids, everybody, they're going to take this pill. And that is what the premise of the film is.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah, I know. And then it goes into this whole thing where it's a real kind of, it sets it up, I think it sets it up very, very well into what the dilemma would be and why you would go about this. And then you have the kid he's probably around about 13, 14, and he's kind of like going, hang on a second, but no, what if the government are wrong? How do we know this is true? We don't know anything about this. There's all these questions of, is this actually true? Have we been told the truth? Why should we do this? Should we go about doing this kind of thing? And and so you have people who say, I don't want to do it. I want to take my chances. And you have other people who are saying, no, we can't do this because if we leave people behind, they're just going to suffer, and we cannot let our kids suffer. And it becomes, so there's a big part of it that is quite philosophical about what you would do in this situation. And I think it's set up really, really well. And it gets to this point where as you're getting towards the end, you're like, okay, what ending are we going to go for? Are we going for, okay, have you seen The Mist? The Frank Darabont? Yeah, The Mist. Are we going to go for like The Mist ending, or are we going to go for something else? Is there going to be a way out of this? Because they've set up something that sounds pretty definitive. And I think it's quite good. I don't think it pulls its punches. It shows you how horrific some of this stuff would be. There's a scene with a car at the side of the road that is, ugh. And the final shot makes you ask questions. The final shot makes you ask questions. I thought it was quite good. And I would give it a 4 out of 5. I don't think it made much of a splash when it came out, but if you can find it, Silent Night, wherever it is, it will probably have Keira Knightley's face on the thumbnail on the poster, because you have Keira Knightley in a movie. Why wouldn't you? Yeah, and but I would recommend watching it if you can handle the thought that there's this thing that's going to kill everybody, and so to avoid a horrific death, you are going to have to euthanize yourself and your entire family. So yeah, that's what I would say to that one. Yeah, did you ever hear about it?
No, I didn't.
I think if you can track it down, I mean, I saw it on Amazon Prime, but as I said, it's probably gone by now. So if you can track it down,
but try.
Yeah, if you can track it down, I would be interested to see what you think about it.
Matthew Good as well. I like Matthew Good.
Well, Matthew Good is good. I mean, fill in obvious pun there. So like he is good. I mean, he definitely plays a certain type of character every time you see him. He's really, really good at that. It's almost a bit like how there was a time when Hugh Grant, every time you saw Hugh Grant, you knew what kind of character he was going to play. And I feel like a little bit like that with Matthew Good. You know what kind of character he's going to play. He's going to be a little bit posh. He's going to be a little bit he's going to be a little bit posh. He's going to be a little bit like, quite well spoken, quite well presented, and a little bit reserved. And
with the possible exception of his very late appearance in
a film, yes, I know the one you're talking about, but even then, he's reserved. Even then, he's reserved and a bit posh.
Yes. Even then, he is still Matthew Good.
Yes.
I look forward to the day when he gets to do a Hugh Grant
Yeah,
and
I know. When he gets
have fun.
when he gets to go to the I don't give a era, when he gets into that
Exactly.
era, because I have to admit I am loving Hugh Grant's era right now. So
Me too. Me too.
ooh, this is actually quite funny because I have a child in my arm. I haven't been keeping track of the scores. So I get to do the whole thing where I'm like, who do you think has won this week? What do you think, Holly?
I'm fairly confident I'm exactly right. It's a tie
I'm
on the
pretty sure
nose.
it's a tie. I'm pretty sure it's been fours across the board.
It has.
I'm pretty sure it's been fours across the board. So yeah, as you go towards Christmas, it seems to be good. Stay at home, go to the cinema, whichever one. You will be entertained.
There are some odd ones coming up over the next few weeks. I'm looking forward, actually, oddly, looking forward to seeing Mufasa more than I thought I would. Initially, I
Yeah.
was like, I've got to watch this to get, for the numbers. But actually, having watched a longer trailer before Moana, I actually thought, you know what, I think I might like this a bit more than I thought I would.
No, I still yeah. Okay, Moana 2. I was, but this is a cash grab. This is
Total cash grab.
this is a cash grab. This is a bastardizing your own mythology, bending
Yes.
over backwards to make something that doesn't make sense compared to what you've told us before. So it's kind of like yeah. Bah. I mean,
I
even
will
though
report back.
yes, you report back because I think that's one there will have to be nothing else in the cinema for me to watch that. And so far, my kids are not really into The Lion King, so I don't have to watch that. So yeah. All right, cool. So I believe that is. There was something else I was going to talk about. Oh, no, never mind. We're going to talk about that like, next week. But until next week, when we go watch something else, what's on your slate for next week?
What have we got? I don't think I've got a cinema trip in before next week.
Oh yeah,
I'm going to have to do a lot of home viewing.
is that because there's nothing to see in cinema?
No, that is just diary clashes. We are not free. Cinema Buddy and I are not free on the same days. So, I will have to do, yeah, home viewing. There's the film that I can never remember the name of. What's it? See No Evil? I think it's See No Evil. James McAvoy, or is it Hear No Evil?
Oh, Speak No Evil.
Speak No Evil. There we go. Got there in the end.
Yep.
Time's a charm. That
Yeah.
is available to rent on Sky if it's not available for free. So I'll watch that.
Yeah. We reviewed that, and that's a film that I am resolutely reserved to never, to never watch. I have decided I'm never watching that film
Uh,
because James McAvoy is too effective. He is too effective.
yes, that is what I'm expecting. And I will be trawling streams. Oh, and what I have already watched and I'd completely forgotten about was the last voyage of the Demeter.
Oh, where did you find that?
It is on Amazon Prime somewhere. I might even have paid for it in the end because it was something I really wanted to watch. But I think it was on Prime and possibly one of the add-ons I've paid for Prime.
All right, gotcha.
But
All right.
I'm happy to talk about that at some point at length.
Oh yeah, because we never got that in cinema, so we never got to talk about that.
No.
And now it appears that there doesn't seem to be anything new in the cinema for next week, unless you want to
Yep.
go rewatch Gremlins.
I, unsurprisingly, do not. Let's see what the next new one out is.
All right. Okay. Anyway, seeing as essentially people are just listening to us do admin now. So,
Yes.
so until next week when we might not watch anything new in cinemas, it's a good part. I'll tell you what. You can tell me what you think about Paddington in Peru next week. I'm like, it's a goodbye from me.
Goodbye from me.
Thank you so much for joining us. Goodbye.